Nana's scrubbing day. Nana was a most extraordinary dog. Not only was she the devoted nursemaid of the darling children Wendy, John, and little Michael, but she also took it upon herself to watch over the neighborhood puppies. She ensured they were well behaved, didn't wander too far from home, and, most importantly, stayed out of trouble. One fine afternoon, after a particularly long and tiring day of supervising the children, Nana decided to take a walk through the park before heading home. The air was fresh, filled with the scent of wet earth and grass, for it had rained heavily the night before. Puddles glistened in the sunlight, and the winding paths through the park were damp and muddy. As Nana trotted along, enjoying the cool breeze, her keen eyes spotted two lively little figures darting across the grass. They were puppies, fluffy, energetic, and full of mischief. They chased each other around trees, leapt into puddles, and rolled on the ground, thoroughly enjoying themselves. But, oh dear, what a mess they were. Their once pristine white coats were now covered in splotches of mud. They looked as if they had been rolling in soot and dirt all day long. Nana stopped in her tracks, watching them with a mixture of amusement and dismay. "Tut, tut," she barked, shaking her head. "What a disgraceful sight you are. Your owners will be terribly upset to see you in such a state." The puppies stopped playing and looked at Nana with wide, curious eyes. They panted happily, their pink tongues lolling out. Clearly, they had no idea that they had done anything wrong. Nana sighed. "I shall take you home and give you a proper scrubbing. No respectable puppy should be seen in such a dreadful condition." And with that, she gently herded the two little rascals toward the darling household. The puppies, still full of energy, scampered ahead of her, occasionally pausing to sniff at an interesting flower or chase a butterfly. Nana, being ever so patient, allowed them their little distractions, but made sure they did not stray too far. When they finally reached the darling home, Nana led them straight to the kitchen. She fetched a large, deep tub and filled it with warm, soapy water. The puppies sniffed at the bubbles curiously, then, with a sudden burst of excitement, jumped right in, sending a splash of water all over Nana. She shook herself off and let out a small chuckle. "Well, at least you are eager to get clean." She rolled up her imaginary sleeves, if dogs could do such a thing, and got to work. With a sturdy brush, she began scrubbing the puppies' coats, determined to rid them of every last trace of mud. The puppies wriggled and squealed, delighted by the sensation of the water and soap. They splashed and giggled, their tails wagging furiously. One of them even tried to nip at the bubbles floating in the air, much to Nana's amusement. She scrubbed and scrubbed, using plenty of soap, making sure to clean behind their ears and under their tiny paws. But no matter how much she rubbed and sponged, some of the spots simply refused to come off. Nana frowned in confusion. This was most peculiar. She tilted her head and examined the puppies carefully. The black spots remained, stubborn as ever, as if they were part of the puppy's fur itself. Just then, the kitchen door swung open and Mrs. Darling stepped inside. She had been busy upstairs tending to the children and had come down to see what all the splashing and laughter were about. She stopped in her tracks at the sight before her Nana, completely drenched, and two very cheerful puppies sitting in the tub, their coats still covered in spots. At first, Mrs. Darling blinked in surprise. Then, as realization dawned upon her, she let out a warm, hearty laugh. "Oh, Nana," she chuckled, covering her mouth with her hand. "What are you doing?" Nana, still perplexed, gave a small huff. "I'm giving these little rascals a proper bath," she barked, nudging one of the puppies. "But no matter how much I scrub, I simply cannot get these last stains off." Mrs. Darling laughed even harder. "Oh, Nana, my dear, those aren't stains," she said, kneeling down beside her. "These puppies are Dalmatians. Their spots are part of their fur." Nana blinked in surprise. "Dalmatians," she repeated slowly. Mrs. Darling nodded, gently patting one of the puppies on the head. "Yes, Dalmatian puppies are born with white fur and their spots develop as they grow. These marks are not dirt, Nana, they're meant to be there." Poor Nana sat back on her haunches, thoroughly exhausted and utterly bewildered. She looked at the puppies, who wagged their tails innocently, as if they had known all along and were simply playing along with her scrubbing. "Well, really," Nana exclaimed, shaking her head in exasperation. "You might have told me that before I went through all this trouble." The puppies let out happy little barks, as if they found the entire ordeal to be the most fun they had ever had. One of them jumped up and licked Nana's face, as if to say, "Thank you for the bath anyway." Mrs. Darling chuckled and fetched a towel to dry off the wet, soapy puppies. "You did a wonderful job, Nana," she said kindly. "Even if they didn't need their spots washed away, they're certainly much cleaner now." Nana huffed but allowed herself a small smile. After all, it was in her nature to take care of little ones, whether they were human children or mischievous puppies. Once the puppies were dried off and happily playing in the warm kitchen, Nana finally allowed herself to rest. She lay down on the floor, stretching out her tired legs. Mrs. Darling gave her a gentle pat on the head. "Well done, Nana," she said with a smile. "You're the best doggy nurse anyone could ask for." Nana wagged her tail in satisfaction. Even though the scrubbing had been unnecessary, she had still done what she did best, taking care of those in her charge. And perhaps next time she would make sure to check what kind of puppies she was washing before trying to scrub off any more permanent spots. As the evening drew in, the Darling children came down to see what all the excitement was about. They squealed with delight at the sight of the playful little Dalmatians and begged their mother to let them stay for a while. Mrs. Darling agreed, and soon the kitchen was filled with the joyful laughter of the children and the playful barks of the puppies. And as for Nana, she watched over them all, feeling content. It had been a long, eventful day, but as always, she had done her job well.